South Park characters ranked by the actual psychological damage they've caused. And before we begin, Randy Marsh is going to land in a category that hasn't existed until now. By the end of this video, you'll understand why. Now, let's get started with the psychological damage. D tier, the parade of embarrassment. Sexual Harassment Panda. World Wildlife Fund? Nope. Sexual Harassment Panda. Why do I already feel harassed? The name alone is like PR overkill. The character was introduced to explain sexual harassment to children, not prevention, but action.
We're going to go through each and every sexual harassment law.
South Park really thought, yeah, a sad, depressed panda in a costume will take care of that. He walks around as if he's being sexually harassed every second by Satan himself. And those songs, it sounds like elevator music from hell. He triggers a whole wave of lawsuits. Families are suing each other. Everyone is accusing everyone else, and this panda stands in the middle of it all like a damn depressed Care Bear on minimum wage. To me, he looks like someone sitting alone in a classroom at night waiting for you, and meanwhile, something unsettling is playing on the overhead projector. He doesn't educate. He is exactly the threat he's educating about. His entire aura is concentrated on food poisoning. D tier. ManBearPig and Al Gore. Sounds like something invented at 4 a.m. during a marathon cocaine session. Half human, half bear, half pig. Yeah, mathematically speaking, that doesn't make any sense. But South Park, just do the math and slap the result on there. ManBearPig. This thing looks like Mother Nature got a visit from Sexual Harassment Panda. And yet, the true aura doesn't come from ManBearPig itself, it's just a walking genetic glitch. The aura belongs entirely to Al Gore, because while this mutated flesh hybrid is tearing people apart somewhere, Al Gore is just running around like a conspiracy theorist who took Joe Rogan way too seriously. I'm super serious about this. That sticks. Ultimately, the monster is just a giant boss fight made of fur, bacon, and sleep paralysis. ManBearPig is simply completely overshadowed by a man who sounds like someone who calls people at night about climate change. Al Gore and ManBearPig, even though he defeated Satan, C tier. Chef. Fancy some salty chocolate balls?
Say, everybody haven't seen my balls, they're big and salty and brown.
A quick detour to a legend of the old South Park era, Boss. Isaac Hayes' voice alone was smoother than half of all the R&B singers. He was the soul of the old South Park era. Then things suddenly got serious. Boss himself was a devout Scientologist and eventually didn't find the Scientology episode funny at all. He basically said, satire's okay, but at some point it becomes intolerant. Dude, you were in a show for years where religions got destroyed, celebrities get publicly roasted, kids die, towels smoke crack. South Park has literally insulted everything. Christianity, the Mormons, politicians, Hollywood, Canada as a whole country. But Scientology was apparently the final boss. South Park responded, of course, in the most typical South Park way. They just turned Chef into a Darth Vader on ketamine. But on this list, he has no power left. Okay, we're pulling the plug now. D tier. The frustrated middle ground. Kyle Broflovski, the only person in South Park whose blood pressure is constantly through the roof. Kyle spends what feels like 90% of his time resisting the urge to attack Cartman.
Johnson, here we come. Don't touch me.
With a folding chair. Understandable. Kyle is the last functioning brain cell. While everyone else is wreaking total havoc, Kyle stands by like a frustrated teacher on a class trip to Chernobyl. But Kyle is usually right, and somehow that ruins his appeal. Because while Randy Marsh builds meth labs and Cartman considers outright war crimes a hobby, Kyle gives lectures. Kyle isn't the guy who's starting the fire, he's the guy standing there with a bucket of water before it burns, yelling, "Guys, this is really not a good idea." Kyle reacts to Cartman every time like a smoke detector and a toaster. And then his life gets completely ruined physically too. The guy had chickenpox, kidney failure, hemorrhoids, diabetes, carpal tunnel syndrome, HIV. You could get all of that over the course of a lifetime, but guys, he's 10. Kyle collects illnesses like other people collect Pokemon cards. Then he suddenly starts questioning reality itself, reads everything about existence, science, and psychology, and thinks so intensely that he begins to briefly disappear from reality. What? The boy accidentally unlocks God mode and summons a mutated squirrel chicken monster. Kyle is too smart for South Park. The kid literally lives in a town where Satan needs dating advice, and Randy puts his balls in a microwave. And that's exactly why he tops the psychos in my aura list, at B tier. Butters Stotch. Guys, this kid lives in a show full of psychopaths and war criminals, all in a kid's show, and yet he stays nice. His parents lock him up for no reason, Cartman constantly manipulates him, the guy is constantly being punished, yelled at, manipulated, taken advantage of, and usually responds with,
Hey, ugly!
he's the perfect family dog, like a golden retriever in a world full of monkeys armed with nuclear weapons. Cartman, in particular, treats Butters as if he has no human rights. If anything could go wrong, send Butters. Emotional trauma, Butters. Possible kidnapping, you know how this goes. Butters is the only truly good person in South Park. But then comes Professor Chaos. Suddenly, Butters throws on a cape and puts aluminum foil on his head and thinks he's Thanos on an allowance. The boy proclaims the destruction of humanity, and his evil plans sometimes sound like ideas an elementary schooler comes up with after 3 Capri Suns. That's not a supervillain, that's a villain on house arrest. When this little ray of sunshine suddenly yells, "Fuck you, Eric," it feels like Pikachu just evaded taxes. For Aura, he was simply dragged through South Park way too often like a battered Wi-Fi router. C tier. PC Principal.
Alright, listen up, my name is PC Principal. I don't know about you, but frankly I'm sick and tired of how minority groups are marginalized in today's society.
A principal with a gym membership. When this guy showed up in South Park, his presence was insane. He walked into the school like a walking update of the school rules. The craziest part, PC Principal really wants equality, respect, and tolerance. But he demonstrates that by hurling people through walls. The guy gives speeches about microaggressions like he's Captain America for the campus.
Advocates of transgender rights, but really just wanting to use the women's bathroom.
That's Principal Aura. And if you said something wrong, good luck. Suddenly this huge UFC fighter-like guy is sprinting towards you as if you just tweeted something in 2016. The PC bros themselves came across like a college fraternity that just discovered podcasts, protein powder, and cancel culture all at once. Because half the time he sounds like a motivational speaker, and the other half like he's about to powerbomb a freshman through a cafeteria table. As if South Park had suddenly given a professor testosterone issues. And as soon as the shock wore off, everything became predictable.
I just wanted to know, because if she's unavailable, then maybe I
The
could...
first outburst was legendary, but somehow I see the guy differently today. Still, the man turned South Park Elementary into a live-action war zone. B tier. B tier permanent system error. Towelie, a towel with a serious drug addiction. And yet, he's not even in the top 10 weirdest South Park characters. Towelie was actually created to dry people off properly. Instead, he spends 95% of his existence floating through the scene, completely high and telling people unsolicited,
And I tell you what, I don't listen!
but still believes he possesses the wisdom of an old kung fu master. The guy smokes weed, snorts meth, does crack, experiments with heroin, and still sounds the whole time like an employee at a spa hotel who can't make ends meet without your tip. As soon as Towelie gets high, even the Popeye music starts playing. South Park is basically telling you, yeah, this character only works on drugs. Seriously, they're right. He's a living towel with red eyes, yellow shoes, and a built-in moisture index. The guy was a drug addict, got clean, started a family, and had a kid named Washcloth. Towelie isn't actually a bad guy at all. The South Park creators themselves originally called him the worst character of all time. The fans, they absolutely loved him. Towelie is exactly the kind of character that shouldn't work, but does anyway. B tier. What are you giving Towelie? Write it down. Mr. Garrison. Mr. Garrison's one of those characters where South Park eventually stopped asking, does this even make sense? And instead just asked, how can we make this even worse? This man was a teacher, a woman, a lesbian, a man again, and President of the United States. I'm sure even the hand puppet was traumatized at some point because Mr. Garrison's hand was stuck up its butt for 30 years and had to talk while it was at it. And then he eventually ends up as Donald Trump's parody with nuclear codes, a complete fever dream on Adderall. Well, the more absurd Garrison gets, the funnier he becomes. The guy gets surgery, becomes a woman, gets into relationships, undoes it all. And South Park reacts to it with the same composure as a McDonald's employee just before closing time.
Your business more profitable, you lying sack of shit!
Yeah, okay, now he's just a guy again. The most normal South Park plot of all time. And right in the middle of it all, Mr. Slave is hopping around, down with the bromance, down with far-reaching psychological damage. With Mr. Garrison, you never know. Is he about to insult someone? Is he starting a political movement? Or is he just having another spontaneous identity crisis? With Garrison, anything's possible. The puppet show vibe worked. B tier. The last sane person. Sets him apart, Stan Marsh. Oh my god, you killed Kenny.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
Stan Marsh, friendly, sensitive, moral, and animal lover. So basically, completely miscast. Actually, he only wants one thing: to chill with his friends, play board games, save animals, and maybe kiss Wendy. But South Park says every time, no. Today we're sending a whale to the moon on a rocket. Stan is so sensitive that he used to throw up every time Wendy spoke to him. Not figuratively, for real. The boy experiences love as a biological attack on himself. And while Cartman runs around like a little war criminal with BMI issues, he saves calves, whales, dolphins, goats. Stan is basically the last sane person in a town full of complete lunatics. Well, then the inevitable happens. The boy can't take it all mentally anymore, especially later on. Suddenly everything sounds like shit on him. Everything looks like shit. People talk like shit.
Dude, I totally get it now. I can see how lame I was, saying everything was shit. Really?
He remains the most emotionally stable character in the series. While adults are complete idiots, cults spring up, and Cartman regularly violates the Geneva Convention, Stan is usually the only one who realizes, dude, that's totally messed up. A tier. S tier, the source of all chaos. Eric Cartman. Cartman is an A tier. Cartman is the reason A tier exists. There's a difference between being chaotic and being the source of all chaos. The only fourth grader who acts like Darth Vader had a kid with the Ewoks. Just twisted. Cartman isn't just mean, Cartman is a war crime in a beanie. None of the guys really know why they hang out with him at all, and honestly, neither do I. Eric manipulates adults, kids, entire groups, entire movements, and sometimes even a bunch of drunk Southerners. He's lazy, selfish, racist, narcissistic, and completely deranged. Butters has been emotionally manipulated by him so many times that he should really be suing for damages. And then, of course, Scott Tenorman. Now, the faint of heart should probably turn this off. That wasn't a prank anymore. A kid gets someone to eat their own parents. Even Satan was silent for a moment. Trey Parker and Matt Stone wanted to create a character who was so offensive, ignorant, and completely crazy that he would have been kicked off regular TV immediately. Everything. Gained 4,000 pounds. I wanted to look like a bodybuilder. Ended up looking like an exploded marshmallow filled with hate. Caught AIDS and immediately infected Kyle out of revenge. That's a biochemical attack, and no more friendship. His charisma doesn't come from him being cool. He isn't cool. He's a little loud nightmare in a winter jacket. But you know, whatever Cartman shows up, someone is going to suffer. That's not A tier, that's the definition of S tier. Kenny McCormick, the boy who dies in every episode and yet never really dies. This guy's been talking like an MP3 file underwater for years, and yet somehow everyone in South Park understands him. Kenny McCormick is actually further proof that South Park is completely crazy. Because just imagine, you create a main character that no one really understands, and yet you make him one of the most iconic characters in the entire series. For decades, Kenny has been talking like someone who is chewing gum and been subjected to too much waterboarding at the same time.
Whoa! Woohoo! I did it!
Kenny is also the most depraved person in all of South Park. The boy studies porn like others do their homework, experiments with drugs like a raccoon with access to chemicals, and lives in a poverty that would make even Mr. Beast break a sweat. Not even the Mexicans are that poor, but Kenny has developed something like a superpower. Or is it more of a curse? Curse or blessing? Write it in. Honestly, South Park probably doesn't even know anymore. The guy dies all the time, keeps coming back, and remembers every single death, every single one. He's been stabbed, sawed in half, blown up, torn to shreds, burned, zombies, monsters, while his friends just go to school as usual the next day. Kenny sits there feeling like a war veteran with a respawn from hell. But Kenny stays loyal, and he constantly sacrifices himself for the others. The completely drunk, poor, horny Parka Goblin has somehow just turned into a real hero. Sad thing is that no one knows he just died a brutal death again. The guy just pulls the hood over his head and continues to take emotional damage for the group. S tier. Satan. Satan is probably the only devil in TV history who simultaneously opens the gates of hell and still desperately needs couples therapy.
Who hath summoned me to this realm?
Dude, you summoned Satan!
He looks like he took every steroid in hell at once. Well, I think he actually bears a slight resemblance to Ronnie Coleman, but emotionally, he's as stuck as someone who reposts sad Drake songs at night. And he's not just evil either. He's basically a toxic ex-boyfriend with apocalyptic abilities. The guy controls fire, dimensions, the distortion of reality, but as soon as Saddam Hussein shows up, he acts like someone who has to text his ex back at 3 a.m. Saddam treats him like a demonic house servant with Stockholm Syndrome. The relationship between the two feels like a hellish version of Love Island with domestic violence. The guy is literally the devil, and yet you sometimes catch yourself thinking, dude, you deserve someone better than Saddam. South Park portrayed Satan as an emotionally broken gym rat from hell. 4-pack instead of 6-pack, 320 pounds of demon flesh, can shoot fireballs. And just like that, Satan himself faces off against Jesus Christ in the boxing ring and loses on purpose, because he bet on himself beforehand and then fleeced the whole town out of their betting money afterward. It's not a fight, that's sports betting fraud on biblical proportions. Somewhere, the Pope is hyperventilating spontaneously right now. His screen presence, relationship problems. After Saddam Hussein, Satan had managed to end up in a toxic relationship again with Donald Trump. South Park just put Satan in the White House, only for him to end up there like a completely drained reality TV husband who's been suffering through the same toxic relationship for 3 seasons. The ruler of hell is suddenly sitting in the Oval Office secretly Googling, how the hell do I spot a narcissistic partner? Absurdly brilliant. South Park takes one of the most powerful creatures in the universe and has him fight ManBearPig, only for the thing to just rip out his horns like Mortal Kombat. Then, what no religion has ever managed to do, Satan goes to heaven with angel wings. South Park has redeemed the devil. They managed to make the ruler of hell come across like a toxic ex with a father complex. Amen, brother. S tier. God tier, the category that still needed to be invented. One character, one animal, created just for him. Randy Marsh. Not evil, but he immediately latches onto every stupid idea and treats it as if God himself had whispered it into his brain.
Follow along with me on your study sheets, kids.
He was even given an almost normal background. The guy's a PhD in geology, a real scientist. So South Park took an academic expert and turned him into a man who reacts to every escalation with an erection. Wow. In every other episode, this guy comes up with a new absolute disaster. Cannabis plantations, alcohol binges, political movements, midlife crises, internet porn, spontaneous revolutions. Randy sexualizes everything. The guy even goes so far as to intentionally give himself cancer just so he can legally smoke marijuana. And he treats the whole thing like a normal weekend project. Yeah, that's it. And suddenly Randy Marsh sticks his testicles into a microwave just to get medical weed. That's so damn crazy, and at the same time, my funniest script. And of course, it doesn't stop there, because South Park wouldn't be South Park if 10 other guys didn't suddenly say,
Oh, that's so fucking hot.
Jimbo, Ned, everyone jumps in. The whole town suddenly turns into a support group for microwaving testicles. This guy has the energy of a scientist who won the Nobel Prize for cooking eggs via testicular cancer. He's also getting the S-tier Aura Nobel Prize from me. God tier. I'm going to go to my microwave right now and stick my head in there until you subscribe. I hope you had a good laugh. See you soon, friends.